Florence, a city which is famous all over the world for its historical, artistic, and monumental heritage, owes much to its river. The Arno River has always represented an important resource for Florence, but through the centuries, it has also invaded the city several times, leaving it exhausted and feverishly rebuilding. The Arno has flooded Florence on so many occasions and to such a degree that the most devastating instances are still recalled, with commemorative plaques indicating the various levels the river waters reached as they filled the downtown streets. 50 years ago, on the 4th of November 1966, the Arno River struck Florence and its citizens with a fury the likes of which had never been seen before. Ponte Vecchio was the epicenter of the dreadful flood that hit not only the historical downtown area, but the entire drainage basin of the Arno, both upstream and downstream from the city. The flood not only hit the citizens and their activities, but also the masterworks of the city, from the doors of the baptistry to Cimabue's crucifix. A large painting by Vasari portraying the Last Supper, which was preserved at the Museum of Santa Croce, was severely damaged. The almost 24 square meters of paint on wood were left soaking in the water, petrol, and mud for an excessive amount of time. Today, Vasari's Last Supper is finally completely restored and again visible to the general public on the occasion of the 50th anniversary of the Great Flood of Florence. But how did the painting get to the museum which was hit by the flood of 1966? Giorgio Vasari's Great Last Supper was commissioned in 1546 for the Convento delle Murate in Florence. The Murate complex we see today is the result of recovery operations begun in 1999 with a social and housing development purpose. Restaurants and spaces for various associations face the pedestrian square, along with the literary cafe of Le Murate, a cultural and artistic reference point in the city. The Convento delle Murate was built in 1424 to house the cloistered nuns, called Murate, because they were literally walled inside. The building was later enlarged as a result of its growing community. In 1810, the monastery was shut down in obedience to Napoleonic laws, and in 1848 it underwent restoration and was transformed into an all-male jail. The Murate complex in Florence housed inmates for about 100 years before it was renovated once more and turned into the structure we are familiar with today. Throughout the passing centuries, the building underwent massive renovations so that today there's little left of the former monastic structure. Vasari's Last Supper was also moved elsewhere after the monastery was closed down. First to the storage areas of the convent of San Marco, and finally to Santa Croce, where it was reached by the 1966 flood. So what could the original position of Vasari's Great Last Supper have been within the Convento delle Murate? This is the question that a team of researchers and other professionals has tried to answer. During the study of antique documents, a vast amount of historical artistic information emerged thanks to a specific archival source, the handwritten chronicle of Giustina Niccolini, a cloistered nun who narrated the most significant events of the convent from its foundation up to 1598.
Il cenacolo che abbiamo oggi in refettorio, fatto per mano dell'eccellente pittore maestro Giorgino Aretino, uno dei più nominati et celebrati maestri in quei tempi che fussino in questa città.
Vasari's Last Supper, then, was originally placed in the refectory, following the aesthetic tradition for paintings of the Last Supper in convents and monasteries from the 14th century onwards. The first necessary procedure, therefore, was to reconstruct the original structure of the complex in order to identify the precise location of the refectory within. In this operation, Sister Giustina's description of the 1557 flood was of the greatest importance.
Quando che il Signore Dio sommerse quasi che in un subito gran parte della città di Firenze con l'impeto dell'acqua.
This flood was a catastrophic event for the entire city, and even more so for the Murate convent. Tree trunks broke the walls of the vegetable garden, allowing the raging waters to burst into the infirmary, the apothecary, the sacristy, and the refectory, the floor of which collapsed onto the underlying cellars. The refectory could only be located in the eastern wing, perpendicular to Via Ghibellina, as this was the only area with cellars underneath, making a collapse due to flooding possible. In later procedures, researchers studied and analyzed the designs and blueprints produced in the 1835 restoration of the former monastery. Based on careful studies and measurements, the room which most probably was used as a refectory was finally identified, and its architectural structure was effectively duplicated, including the very wall the painting was on. This research, aided by the most groundbreaking 3D reconstruction technology available, makes it possible for us to show you, with a fair amount of certainty, the refectory as it appeared to the nuns while they were sharing their meals, an important moment of their daily lives. In addition, thanks to the meticulous work of restorers from the Opificio delle Pietre Dure, damage to the painting due to the flood has been effectively minimized. Today, therefore, we can say that Vasari's painting has successfully overcome another difficult passage in its centuries-old existence. Here it is again, ready to be seen by the entire world.